I just watched Sean Hannity completely lose his mind on Fox News because a Muslim politician became kingmaker in New York. Apparently, this means Sharia law is coming back, guys. I generally feel like as if I've traveled back to 2001, even though I was probably 1 year old at that point, but even I remember all that bullshit propaganda. Did we invade Afghanistan again? Because every election cycle is the same script. The Muslims are coming, Sharia law is coming, they're taking over. Brother, we're like 1% of the United States population. We're not taking over America. Half of us can't even agree to where to eat after Friday prayer. That's what actually bothers me, is people don't criticize Islam. Like, criticize Islam, criticize ideas. I generally believe our ideas can be like, we'll be able to stand whatever criticism you have. But criticize everything else. Truth doesn't fear questions. What frustrates me is that nobody on television seems interested in learning about what we actually believe. They criticize a religion they invented themselves in their mind. And let me give you some of the famous like arguments they always talk about. Whether it's God Logic, whether it's Fox News, whether it's like Samsung, they'll always talk about stuff like Muslim Dilemma, or like whether it's the various Mossad operations that they have. You probably heard about it, like, oh, the Quran confirms the Bible, therefore Muslims have to believe the Bible we have today is what we think. No, it's not what Muslims believe. The Quran speaks about the Torah revealed to Moses, and the Injil revealed to Jesus. The Injil is not the Bible. These are revelations from God. Muslims do not believe the Injil is the Bible. The New Testament is Gospels according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, along with other writings, much of which is Paul's. Even many Christian scholars distinguish between Jesus' original teachings and later written accounts about his life. You don't have to agree with Muslims, but criticize our actual positions, not ones invented on YouTube. And there's another favorite one. We hate Jesus. Bro, Jesus, literally, we have to say peace be upon him after every single word. He's literally the most honored person in Islam. We believe he was born to a Virgin Mary, that he's the Messiah. We believe he poured miracles. He returned to a day of judgment. Our disagreement is that we just don't think he's God or the Son of God. That's a theological disagreement. That's not hatred. And then people do always that quote, like when they went all into destroying the Muslim world, 6 million official dead, 1.8 trillion wasted in the war against terror, against people who had nothing to do with 9/11. They'll quote that one quote about fighting for if you see them cut their heads off, as if not, like, literally the sentence afterwards literally says, and if they surrender, you have to give them parlay and you have to like treat them well and stuff like that. They never quote the verses before, never the verses after, never the historical setting, never 14th century of scholarship explaining the context. Imagine if I judged Christianity by one sentence taken out of context. Christianities would immediately say correctly, you're not reading it right. Exactly. So extend us the same courtesy. Then people say Muhammad was a military leader. Okay, so was Moses. So was Joshua, David, Solomon. Many of the major prophets of the Hebrew Bible led nations, fought wars, or ruled kingdom. Again, you don't have to agree with Islam. Just be consistent in your narrative. Here's what actually disappoints. I love Christian philosophy. All right, I read a lot of Christian philosophy. Why? Because I'm not one of those people that was just born to be more, like, into Islam and never read anything. No, I read multiple versions of the Bible. I've read multiple Christian philosophy. Read people like bro. I recommend people like Saint Augustine. I recommend people like Soren Kierkegaard, who's probably my favorite philosopher almost of all time. Thomas Aquinas. Whether you're a Muslim, Christian, or atheist, or anything else, these people produce some of the greatest philosophical arguments for Christianity in history. All right, these are the people that make good arguments, not these people like God Logic or these Mossad propaganda or Fox News propaganda. These people debated free will, morality, suffering, faith, reason, the existence of God. They spent their whole life trying to explain why Christianity was true. Notice something: they weren't obsessed with convincing people to hate Muslims. They weren't obsessed with building careers on fear. They built actual philosophical and logical arguments. Modern media builds enemies. That's the problem. They want you to fear your neighbors so that they can steal your money, that they can steal your wealth, and they can steal your health. Great thinkers invite you to think. Television invites you to panic. Fear gets ratings. Fear gets people watching, angry. And angry people rarely stop to ask questions. And here's the ironic part. The founding fathers themselves would probably laugh at the idea of an America where Muslims don't exist in it. First of all, Thomas Jefferson explicitly, while explaining religious freedom in his memoirs, said that the America's protections were meant to include, and I quote, the Jew and the Gentile, the Christian, the Mohammedan, the Hindu and the infidel of every denomination. Mohammedan, by the way, is the word that was used for Muslims. Think in that time. Think about it. The principal author of the American Religious Liberty explicitly said Muslims were included in the American experiment. John Adams as well said something very similar. And even in the 1797 Treaty of Tripoli went even further, stating the United States government is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. Instead, it extended a hand to the entire Muslim world after they had just finished their war with Morocco. It was a declaration that America belonged to people of all faith, explicitly listing Muslims. So when people today act like Muslims are somehow incompatible with America, we've been here since the beginning. The majority, like 30 to about 35% of all slaves bought to the United States were Muslim. We've been here from the beginning. So don't argue with me. Argue with Thomas Jefferson. Argue with John Adams. Argue with many of the founding fathers. You're arguing with the very principles of religious liberty America was built upon. And honestly, that makes me sad because I don't care if you're Christian or Muslim. I care that you're American. So know that they're trying to divide you between each other so that they continuously propagandize you, so that you go fight a war in the Middle East while you become poorer and poorer at every single time you go to the grocery store. All right, and that is all I ask. Read Islam from Muslims, read Christianity from Christians, read Judaism from Jews, and read atheists from atheists. Stop letting cable news summarize entire civilizations into 30-second fear segments. They're doing the same thing with socialism, as if like Norway, Denmark, and Switzerland, or like the Scandinavian countries and much of Europe isn't socialist, and their happiness index are the highest in the world. All right, as if democratic socialism doesn't exist, as if America wasn't a democratic socialist nation from since the New Deal in the late 30s all the way to 1978, before Reagan came and destroyed everything with trickle down economics, the one economic system that has never worked in all of human history. So truth has never fueled investigation, only propaganda does. So start asking questions, read books, challenge your assumptions, and the next time someone tells you your Muslim brother is your enemy, maybe turn off the television. Go introduce yourself. You might be surprised of how much alike you are than different. And you might be surprised how much both of you love America just as much as the next.